Hey, folks, welcome back to Rugby Ascendant. This is Chris in Pennsylvania. My special guest today is from Rugby Atlanta, Rugby ATL. That's Rory van Vugt from New Zealand, another Kiwi. It's a lot of Kiwis on the program this week. So welcome to the conversation there, Rory.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me on here.
No, it's my pleasure. Looking forward to it. Had a chance to see you play a couple of times in person down there in Atlanta. Also, this past weekend in a bruising, but surprisingly a high-scoring game against Rugby United New York. That was a tough match and a little disappointing outcome, but it could have gone the other way at the end for Rugby ATL.
Yeah, definitely what you just said there. Like, it was disappointing for sure. Like, we created a lot of things, but then the execution wasn't there for us for that game. So hopefully get to see them later on one more time and make amends for it.
Now, late in the game, I noticed that you got tackled from behind. It looked like an awkward tackle. I wasn't sure if you took an injury there, but you seem to be okay after the game. Any niggling effects from that tackle?
Yeah, no, it's all legs all fine now. It was a wee bit sore on the plane, but no, it's come right. It's good as.
So you are from, the South Island, New Zealand, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
The closest I've been to your home is Nelson, which is a long way off.
Yeah, that's like the top of the South Island. I'm like near the bottom.
Exactly. I went to Nelson for the 2011 World Cup. The Eagles were playing Italy. That was the last game I went to for that World Cup. Yeah. So that was a game that I think it was rescheduled. It was supposed to be in Christchurch, but the earthquake had just happened. So I think Nelson wound up getting a game.
Nelson's a good spot to end up in.
Yeah, no, it was lovely. I was pleasantly surprised. That it wouldn't have been on my list of places I had to hit because I wanted to go to Christchurch, but then it was a pleasant surprise. But you're from down south there, and I'll make sure I get this correctly. Can I pronounce this? Is it Balclutha? That around there? Okay.
Correct.
Now, this is a roaring metropolis that is internationally known for its cosmopolitan scene with hundreds of thousands of residents. Yes? No.
Not quite. About 4,000 or so, 4,000 or 5,000.
So 4,000 or 5,000 usually is an indication of some sort of agricultural area. Are you from a farming family or no?
Yep. From a farming family. Yep.
What sort of farming?
Right. So yeah, like a dairy farm.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Yeah.
I was a dairy farmer.
Farming.
I was a dairy farmer.
Oh, no. Yeah. Cool.
We had jerseys and Guernseys and a few Holsteins, but the focus was jerseys because the high butter fat content. What sort of dairy cows do you guys have?
Friesian.
Oh, brilliant.
Friesian.
Oh, yeah.
All Jersey getting around.
Yeah, for those of you tuning in now and you were hoping to hear a rugby conversation, my apologies, but we're going to descend into the dairy industry. So, So Rory, how did you get involved in rugby and when did you start? I mean, look, as I mentioned to Tay earlier, children in New Zealand are born and they're issued almost immediately with nappies and a rugby ball. What's it like for you?
Yeah. Like you've mentioned there, like it's our national sport. Like as long as my memory goes, as I remember, as rugby's been a part of it. So just pretty much into it, started playing when I wanted to play. Like I had my older brother, he was playing a game and always wanted to play. So I started when I was about 4, nearly 5, but when I was 4 years old, and since then just been loving it. I used to love watching it always as a kid and still do now. So.
But the area you come from, it's not major population based. So does everybody play? Does that keep the level of rugby up, or do you travel a lot to play rugby that far south?
No, obviously through the grades it's a wee bit different. But like through school, like where I'm from, so there's a lot of different little towns from where I'm from. So as you start off as like a junior there, you'll start playing like around the place. Like you might have to drive like 30 minutes, but it's not far. So it's actually pretty good in terms of that. And then you go to school and then you'll start playing teams from like further in Otago and down in Southland. So, yeah.
Now you have an interesting background in one respect that it's not often that I interview rugby players, and I can say this, but you played international touch rugby for a couple of seasons.
Yeah. Yes.
So I mean, a lot of people don't realize who are not familiar with the game. And of course, one of the things we're hoping to do is, open rugby up to more of the world. Is that there's all sorts of rugby. There's 7s, there's 10s, there's 15s, there's beach rugby. There's all sorts of things. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience playing touch rugby?
Yeah. So, growing up, so I played rugby in the winter, and then touch is like my summer sport. So a lot of people, they'll sort of play like cricket or touch is a big one. So So in New Zealand, I'll sort of pick one of those two. And yeah, I love playing touch. Managed to get like a bit of success in it as well. So that helped with like always wanting to play. Managed to get into a few rep teams and whatnot and represent the country. So that was like a pretty special feature of, like in my life so far.
So you've also played Mitre 10. I've talked to a few guys who played Mitre 10, actually 3 today. Rowan played Mitre 10. We had Tay playing Mitre 10. What's a Mitre 10 like? And, I looked I noticed this season that another sponsor's out there now. So now it's like the Bunning National Professional Championship. Yeah. So I've gotten used to saying Mitre 10 for years now. Now I have to change the Bunning. But what was it like for you playing in Mitre 10?
That was awesome. That was just getting into that level. It was a major goal that I had for myself, and once I got there, I actually got there a bit earlier than what I planned. When I set out some goals and whatnot, and I got there through a bit of a chance opened up with some injuries and whatnot. So I got there, and I still thinking about it now. Like, it's crazy to think that I actually got there, and then to continue after that first game for the next couple of years. It's very, very special to me.
Now, you've also played with a team that's pretty well known in New Zealand, that is, and that's the Southland Stags. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was cool. So they're pretty. Balclutha, it's in the middle of like Dunedin, Otago, and Invercargill, which is Southland. So originally, I was up in Otago but never like played for Otago or whatnot. Like I played some age grade stuff for like the Otago country. But once I got into like the Southland environment, like I loved it, and I'm super stoked that that's where I've ended up, and that's what my team is now. So.
Excellent. So just very quickly here before we wrap up. Balclutha is a long way from Atlanta. I mean, a really long way. I don't know if you could get much further away unless you went to the surface of the moon or something like that. That's a long trip. How did you rock up in Atlanta? How did you wind up there?
So my first year with Southland, I had a head coach, Dave Hewitt, who knew Scott, and I'm guessing they were just in contact. Obviously, Scott having the new team starting here, and he's reached out, and Dave put my name forward, and then got the contact with Scott. And then we had the FaceTime and just stayed in touch, and managed to find myself over here.
Well, it's, that almost sounds like it's almost it's who you know that makes a difference, but that would be selling you short, because it's not just who you know, it's also the talent. You clearly got the talent to be doing what you're doing. What's it been like playing with Rugby ATL this season? It's a team that has a big focus on defense. Has that been a different experience for you, or just something you fit right into?
No, it's very, very similar to my team back home. They're massive, exactly like I've just come the season I come out of. It was every game grind, like a couple points in it if it was high scoring, low scoring, but it's always going to be a grind, and it's always tight. But playing for ATL, it's a privilege. We've started to create like a winning culture, and it's pretty special to be a part of. Like it's not that common to have something like that. So
absolutely, you've definitely created a winning culture there, a very interesting culture, also a culture that seems pretty focused on learning and developing. Even though you're playing professional sports, Scott Lawrence really seems to be in it. Roy, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate a chance to chat with you. Best of luck the rest of the season, and we'll get together again sometime, and we'll offer people dairy farming advice. I think that we can offer tips on that. So thanks a lot for your time, Roy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.